I am here today with another author from the Reinvented Heart. This time I am with Beth Cato, who has a lovely story called More Than Nine, which when Jen and I saw it, when we're kind of going through the stories in the uh, that moment where we kind of had to wrangle over various stories. This was not one we wrangled over because we were both like, yes, we like it because it's a pet story. We like it because it's a cat story. We like it because it's really well written and nice. So there was no question there. But I'm curious about the impetus behind the story, Beth, and if there is a cat clone in your life, perhaps, or something like of that nature. So tell us about that.
Well, the story really arose from the fact that I wish I could have cat clones and it's set up, pretty much from page one in my story. The cat, Fori, has kidney disease and
Yeah.
is 15 years old and is starting to suffer poor health and needing medication and maybe needing subcutaneous fluids in the future. And I'm writing from experience with that because my cat Porum endured that and died of kidney disease. And it
Oh,
was absolutely excruciating. And in all honesty, probably gave me some PTSD
yeah,
around it just
yeah.
because it deeply affected me. Just that whole decline and her death. It was devastating for me. And since then, I keep writing that sorrow into my stories. There have been a couple now where I have explored kidney disease specifically with cats. I've done it
Uh-huh,
in
uh-huh.
like secondary world fantasy stories, and I even had it in a daily science fiction story last year called Your Cat. That was a time travel story around what you would do for your childhood pet.
Uh-huh.
So this was another way to explore that theme, and I think really blatantly working through grief that hasn't left even after all these years.
Yeah, yeah. Well, I think that's one of the best things you can do with the really deep sorrows is make the stories both help you make sense of it and also make art out of it in a way that speaks to, I mean, like I've got an elderly cat right now, in fact, that I got to go down and make try number two of the day at subcutaneous fluids because
Oh
the
gosh, I'm
first
so sorry.
poking was kind of like, well, we don't want to do this right now. And I was like, fair enough. I'll come back in a few hours, see how we feel about that. The
Yeah.
salmon treats are in but yeah, yeah. Sorry, let me digress here. So yeah, I think that's really lovely. So talk to me about how you see pet relationships changing in the future or not changing or morphine. I'm not sure. How would they be like?
I think we'll see pets living longer because I think there will be specific efforts to correct and treat things like kidney disease and other major illnesses for cats and dogs. I mean, before Porum was diagnosed, I had no idea how common kidney
Yeah,
disease was in
yeah,
cats. And
yeah,
suddenly it's like I mentioned on Facebook, I had 20, 30 friends who were like, oh, yeah, I had a cat who went that, or my cat's dealing with that now.
yeah,
I had no idea it was so common.
yeah,
So I
yeah.
think going into the future, there will be active efforts to treat that. You will definitely, I think, see a privilege divide with that, especially at first. I mean, the people who can't afford it will get it, and
Hmm.
the rest of
Hmm.
us, muddle through like we kind of do now. If you can afford
Yeah,
it, that's great. If not, too bad.
yeah.
And I think cloning will with pets is going to become more of an issue going into the future as well. I mean, a couple of years ago, I was excited in Edinburgh to get to see Dolly in person. The famous sheep that was cloned.
Oh yeah,
Yeah, and it's like I think that's going to become more mainstream going into the
yeah.
future, and that will bring moral and ethical complications
Oh
along with
yeah.
that too.
There was a really fascinating story on, I think it was on NPR a number of years ago, about some people who cloned a prize bull. And
Mm.
one of the things that this bull had been remarkably friendly, had been like a stunt bull in the movies, and was just like everybody loved this bull. And they cloned him, and the clone had a totally different temperament and
Oh,
was not, kind of like Ferdinand the friendly steer the way the first one had been. And it was a really interesting story because they expected that.
yeah.
And who knows?
Nature and nurture work together. I mean, you
Yeah,
can't
right.
assume by genetics. I mean, goodness
Yeah.
knows. I mean, all of us have dealt
Oh,
with
yeah.
different things, and it changes us in our lives too.
That's it. And you don't know how the gene will express. I have a story called Tortoiseshell Cats Are Not Refundable, and it's about the fact that you can't clone tortoiseshell cats. You can't clone them and express them, expect them to have that same fur pattern,
Hmm.
which is a really interesting. You can't relive that.
Yeah, that's fascinating.
Yeah. So do you have pets currently in your life? Or are you
Yes.
okay?
Yes. After Purim died, we pretty much waited 2 months to get through the holidays so we could
Yeah.
safely have the Christmas tree out, completely recarpet the hallway that Purim had destroyed in her declining health. And then we went to the shelter aiming
Yeah.
to get maybe 2 cats because we
Hmm.
originally had Palom and Purim.
Hmm.
And then we came home with three. You know,
Three.
that's
So
how
were
it goes.
they siblings, or there were so many, there were three that you were just like, no, we love these cats and can't choose.
They were three older cats.
Oh.
Supposedly, Kylo and Luke came from the same household, but they don't
Uh-huh.
really like each other or have any bonding. So who knows there? But yeah, they're completely different personalities. And
Yeah.
Kylo is a Black Panther. Luke is this little rotund, chubby tabby cat who loves to drool all over me, and just he usually lives on my desk as I'm working during the day.
Oh,
And
that's
then
awesome.
Finn is my ginger resident trickster god.
Ooh, ooh, I love that. Well, and that's it's lovely that you took in older cats rather than
Yeah.
kittens, because a lot of times people,
Yes.
well, because kittens are cute, right? It's like
And I
baby
honestly, I
shit.
don't think I wanted to deal with the chaos of
Yeah,
kittens. Older
yeah.
cats would be enough. But yeah, we specifically wanted older cats. And then we adopted Kylo because we know black cats in particular have a hard
Oh
time
yeah,
getting adopted.
oh yeah. Oh, that's lovely. Awesome. Well, so what do you have also coming out this year, or that has come out recently? What are you working on?
Oh gosh, I'm always working on stuff. And I encourage people to go to bethcato.com because I try and keep my bibliography updated pretty
Oh,
regularly.
awesome. Yes.
And that it helps me keep track at this
Yeah.
point too.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'll have a two stories forthcoming with daily science fiction at some
Nice.
point. I know a story coming up in Nature in the next
Nice.
while.
Super nice.
Yeah, and then a lot of poetry publications, and I'm not quite sure when those will be coming out.
Awesome. I just talked to Jane Yolen, whose
Oh,
poem,
I love her.
and she, oh God, she was inspirational. And she was just like, yep, every day I send out a poem or a story or a book. And
Wow,
yeah, she was really, it's a good interview. You should check it out. It
I
really,
will. That sounds great.
yeah, yeah, it was fun. All right. And okay, so what are you working on right now? Like right at this moment?
Top secret project.
Oh, top secret.
Yeah, top secret project.
You
Yeah,
can tell us, but
I
you have
just
to
started work.
tell us.
Yeah, I just started working on something big and fun.
Oh, awesome. 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 All right. Well, that concludes our interview. I urge you to check out Beth's story, which is super sweet. And particularly if you, I mean, I think, well, not everybody deals with the grief of a pet, but it sort of feels like a really universal experience, though. More people than not, right? More than nine. All right. Thank you so much, Beth. This has been delightful. And I am going to stop recording now. Here we
Okay.
go.